Hello everyone, let us solve the question on how do we reverse a singly linked list. Now we know that in singly linked list we can only traverse in forward direction and we cannot come back. Suppose this is the given singly linked list 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 with address 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000 and 5000. These are the node addresses and what is the value of head? The value of head is 1000, this is the node address. Now the same list has to be reversed where the value of head will become 5000, the data should not be exchanged because data can be very huge. What we need to exchange? The pointer, because we know that the size of the pointer is 8 bytes and this is how the list should look like. The same list is modified this way and we know that the value of head pointer changes. Now let us try to solve this. Suppose this is the list given. Now what we do? We know that after we reverse 20 is pointing to 10. Please see that. After we reverse 20 points to 10. Correct, right? Therefore, therefore what we need a pointer to 10, let us call it as P, and we need a pointer to 20, let us call it as Q. And we want to make 20 to point to 10. And how do I make 20 to point to 10? I can write it as Q arrow next is equal to P. We can write it as Q arrow next equal to P. Now when I write Q arrow next is P, this link is broken and what happens? This link is established. Now what we wanted? We wanted 20 to point to 10 and here what we have? Here we have 20 to point to 10. But the thing is, now can you go to the next node 30? You cannot go to next node 30. Therefore, before I say Q arrow next is P, I need another pointer to 30 because when I say Q arrow next is P, the pointer to 30 is lost. Hence, before we say Q arrow next is P, let us store a pointer R to 30. Now, after we store R to 30, what we need? We need 30 to point to 20. We need 30 to point to 20. Therefore, we move the pointers ahead. And how do we move the pointers ahead? We say P is equal to Q. That means P from here will come to this point. We say Q is equal to R. Q from this point will go over here and you make R to point to the next node. R is equal to R arrow next. You say R is equal to R arrow next. Now, if I write it, how does the memory will look like? This is P, this is Q and this is R. Now, again you repeat the same task. You say Q arrow next is P. Now, when I say Q arrow next is P, what will happen? This link is broken and this is Q arrow next is P. That means 30 is now pointing to 20. This is what we wanted. Now, again you move forward, P is equal to Q. Now, this is P is equal to Q. Q is equal to R, R is equal to R arrow next. Now, when you do this, this is how the memory map will look like. Again you go and you say Q arrow next is P. Now, when you say Q arrow next is P, this link is broken and after this link is broken, 40 now will start pointing to 30. Again you say P is equal to Q, Q is equal to R and R is equal to R arrow next. Now, when we say this is P, this is Q and the value of R will be null. Now, 50 should point to 30. Again we go back to the loop. We say Q arrow next is P. Now, this is Q arrow next is P. P is equal to Q. Q is equal to R and R is R arrow next. Now, you see that the complete list is reversed. 50 is pointing to 40, 40 to 30, 30 to 10. 30 to 20, 20 to 10, but there is a loop over here which we need to remove. And how do we remove the loop? We say head arrow next is equal to null. We say head arrow next is equal to null. Now, when we say head arrow next is null, this link is broken. Now, what should be the head node? P should be the head node. That is the last thing that we write, head is equal P. Now, this will become the head pointer and if we traverse the list now, what is the list? 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 and 10 is pointing to null. I hope that you have understood. Thank you.